Often when a child comes with bleeding, we are clueless as to how to proceed. Especially in resource limited settings, हम अक्सर confused रहते हैं क्या टेस्ट करवाएं, कैसे proceed करें. So let us see how we should. सबसे पहले आप ये देखिए कि bleeding is at some particular site or at multiple sites. That is, you differentiate whether bleeding is due to some local cause or due to some systemic cause. Bleeding at one site only can be due to local infections, malformations, and trauma. All other causes usually lead to systemic bleeding. साथ ही साथ we also get some baseline investigations done. These are also referred to as screening investigations, and they are for prothrombin time, APTT, platelet count, and general blood picture. These tests are at least available in most of the setups, almost all the setups. Next, we must differentiate whether it is a superficial or a deep bleeding. Now, superficial means outermost layer of an organ. It is skin, and for the internal tubular organs, it is the mucosa. While deep bleeding is bleeding inside the deep tissues, most commonly the joints. Now, see, superficial bleeding is mainly due to two causes: platelet disorders and vessel wall disorders, most commonly vasculitis. And deep bleeding is due to clotting factor disorders. Superficial bleeding was conventionally referred to as bleeding disorders, and deep bleeding was conventionally referred to as clotting disorders. In both these cases, we must take a detailed history and do a keen clinical examination, label superficial or deep correctly, baseline PT, APTT, platelet count, and general blood picture, and close follow-up. Now, bleeding inside any organ cannot be labeled as deep bleeding. For this, we must be able to differentiate between hollow and solid organs. Hollow organ is a tubular organ, for example, GIT, genitourinary tract, biliary system, and solid organ is having only tissues, for example, liver and spleen. Hollow organ bleeding is therefore superficial bleeding in the form of mucosal bleeding, while solid organ bleeding is deep bleeding. But remember, either can occur in either, because in medicine, in medical science, exceptions are a rule. Third, we must see whether the child is sick or well. Now, in a well child, if he is an infant or toddler with bruises, ecchymosis, the probable differential is vitamin K deficiency bleeding, previously referred to as hemorrhagic disease of the newborn. In an older child with petechiae purpura, your first clinical diagnosis should be ITP if the child is otherwise well. All other causes must be considered in a sick child. In a child with hemarthrosis, he may be sick if the bleeding is acute. He might not be so sick if the bleeding has been recurrent and chronic in the same joint. So again, you must take a detailed history, clinical examination, manage the airway, breathing, circulation. This is very important prior to making a diagnosing, doing phlebotomy for sample collection and everything. You must first manage airway, breathing, circulation, give vitamin K for vitamin K deficiency bleeding, and also manage immune thrombocytopenia. Other causes of bleeding are vasculitis or vessel wall disorders, which usually lead to superficial bleeds, since capillary walls are the most fragile things. Then trauma can cause both superficial and deep bleeding depending on the site. Mixed etiology, that is both superficial and deep bleeds, can be seen in conditions like disseminated intravascular coagulopathy, advanced liver disorders, collagen vascular disorders, and malignancies. And drug-induced bleeding will depend on the mechanism of action of the drugs, like NSAIDs are antiplatelet drugs, and then anticoagulants like heparin. Iatrogenic causes of bleeding, for example, surgery and extracorporeal procedures, for example, dialysis and ECMO. Now, platelet disorders can be of two types, quantitative or qualitative. Quantitative platelet disorders are disorders in which the platelet count is less than 1.5 lakh per cubic millimeter, for which the first investigation which you must do is a generalized blood picture. Why? Because you should rule out pseudothrombocytopenia. Pseudothrombocytopenia, in this the platelet clumps together and automated counters usually interpret one platelet clump as a single platelet. For example, in EDTA-dependent platelet agglutination, multiple myeloma, and platelet cold agglutinins. You must definitely give supportive care like antifibrinolytic therapy, tranexamic acid, and local styptics like Votroclot, but at the same time, treatment of the underlying cause has to be done. Indications of platelet transfusion are usually taken as follows. If the platelet count is less than 10,000 per cubic millimeter, one usually considers giving platelets. Less than 20,000 in a febrile or in a sick child, less than 50,000 before doing any invasive procedure or major surgery, and platelet transfusion is an indication at any platelet count if the clinical bleeding is life-threatening. In ITP, platelet transfusions are often even not indicated if the platelet count is less than 10,000 and the child is stable. This is because to prevent the risk of alloimmunization. Then the second type of platelet defects are the qualitative platelet defects. In this, the number will be more than 1,50,000, but still clotting might not occur. Platelet plug formation does not occur because the platelets are defective in their function. So these are, for example, Bernard-Solier, Glanzmann thromboasthenia, and Scott-Helbig syndrome. Most of these disorders are genetic in nature, so they require genetic counseling, supportive care, achieving hemostasis, and stem cell therapy in the long run. Now, management of clotting factor disorders requires the transfusion of fresh frozen plasma at the rate of 10 to 15 ml per kg, cryoprecipitate 10 ml per kg, and this contains only selected clotting factors like fibrinogen, factor 8, factor 13 fibronectin, and von Willebrand factor. Specific factor replacement is obviously a therapy in hemophilia. But remember, again I would like to stress here that specific treatment of the underlying cause is quintessential. To manage, the first and the foremost thing we are taught, and we must do is taking care of the airway breathing circulation, looking after the sensorium of the child, maintaining the vitals, recording the sites of bleeding very carefully, isolated or multiple, superficial or deep, achieving local hemostasis as far as possible, send for screening preliminary investigations after all this has been done, and these include PT-APTT, CBC, and general blood picture. And relevant blood products should be transfused simultaneously, and treatment of the underlying cause should also be initiated. Remember, recombinant factor 7A has gained a lot of popularity in achieving local hemostasis, and DDAVP, we also know, is the treatment of mild hemophilia and von Willebrand disease. Now, there are certain advanced tests like fibrinogen assay, D-dimer assay, and specific factor assays. Also, 5-molar urea or 1% monochloroacetic acid clotlysis test for factor 13 deficiency, platelet function analysis in which we check the platelet adhesion or aggregation, and von Willebrand factor test, for example, factor assay and ristocetin cofactor assay. Remember, thromboelastogram has been recently gaining a lot of popularity because it shows all the stages of clot formation. So, now to summarize, if a child presents to you with bleeding, the first thing is you look after 3 clinical things, whether it is local or systemic, superficial or deep, and whether the child is sick or is well. And simultaneously, you must order screening investigations, that is hemoglobin, platelet count, general blood picture, and PT-APTT INR. If the results of these are abnormal, there are 2 possibilities. Either it is an isolated platelet disorder or clotting disorder, or it is a mixed abnormality. We have already seen the causes, so you must work up the specific causes and manage accordingly. Another possibility is that the results of all these tests are normal but the child is bleeding. You must then consider platelet function disorder or a vessel wall disorder. For this, you must first go for bleeding time. See, bleeding time is mainly because of superficial bleeding. So if the platelet number is adequate and there is no vessel wall disorder, then also if there is function disorder, the bleeding time shall be prolonged. You must You might also be required to go for connective tissue disease marker panel, for example, ANA, etc. Then you may finally go on to performing advanced tests and manage the patient accordingly. So guess you have now broadly understood as to how to clinically approach a child who has come to you with history of or with active bleeding. Thank you.